Now on CoastTV News.
Cleaning up. People across Delmarva working together to get back to normal after a historic snowstorm. Pets in need. The storm forcing a local shelter to move animals and to deal with damage. How you can help.
We have a newly issued special statement from the National Weather Service dealing with road problems overnight. I'll give you the details coming up.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Power crews hard at work all over southern Delaware today, 2 days after that weekend blizzard. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina D. Robertis. It's our top story, cleanup and power restoration continuing across the region today. Reporter Tim Furlong shows us how crews and communities are working to get back on track.
I found workers clearing snow from the bridge over the Indian River Inlet and uncovering streets in Rehoboth Beach. I saw just endless lines of downed tree branches scattered along roads, and most importantly, I found power crews from all over the eastern United States here in southern Delaware helping Delmarva Power get the lights and heat back on. The Red Cross took care of dozens of families sheltering at Sussex Central Middle School. Even Red Cross volunteers' families had choices to make when their power went down.
I asked my wife last night if she wanted to, and she said no, we have plenty of quilts.
Yeah, for the most part, I think it was pretty quick.
The reviews seem to be pretty darn good for Del. State, county, and local government's handling of the snow, but everyone here has their own war stories to share from the storm.
Our power didn't go out, but about half of our neighborhood did, and an entire tree blocked off our entryway and exit out of our neighborhood, so we were kind of just stuck for a good day and a half until they were able to clear that out of the way.
With all driving restrictions now lifted, some folks took some time to come see Rehoboth today.
It's beautiful. We normally don't see it like this.
Yeah, this is definitely a sleepier time at the Delaware beaches, but don't be fooled. Every weekend is a chance to make some money. There are polar plunges this weekend. There are other sorts of charity events. They need to get as much of this snow away as possible and make sure all the sidewalks are clear for shoppers. But all this shoveling and salting, easier said than done.
It's not just the snow, but it was a type of snow. It was that real heavy snow with a lot of water in it. We call it heart attack snow because if you're not in shape to do it, you're going to end up with a heart attack.
Slowly but surely, power is being restored, but wherever you are, continue to be careful and by all means, think warm thoughts of Delaware beach days free of all the snow piles now cluttering the streets. At the Delaware beaches, Tim Furlong, WRDE Coast TV News.
Now, during the storm's most powerful wind and snow gusts, more than 100,000 people across Delmarva were left without power. Some still are right now without power. Electric companies like Delaware Electric Co-op tell us they actually spent a lot of money cutting down trees that are close to power lines, but they say all of those preparations were not enough for this blizzard. The CEO of Delaware Electric Co-op, Rob Book, calls the storm historic. He said the entire company was working, and they even had to call in contractors from Virginia, to get as many people back online as possible. One couple in Milton tells us they had their generator running nonstop since Sunday night.
We just had no idea how long this one was going to take, so we went the distance and got ourselves prepared and situated for the worst.
Now, at this point, a lot of those major outages in Broadkill Beach and Angola have now been resolved. And this does bring us to our Coast TV poll tonight. We're asking you today, which cleanup job do you dread the most? Let's take a look here. So far, we've got some people saying clearing the driveway, digging out cars, salting walkways, or roof snow. I mean, all of these are pretty tough. We did get a comment tonight. We're not able to pull it up, but someone said walking the dog in the snow is pretty tough. I would have to agree with that one. And you can still vote. We'll check back in on the poll a bit later. Just go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. In Sussex County, overnight cold temperatures created some slick spots. In Seaford, specifically, frozen snow blanketing driveways there, and some fallen tree limbs still on the roads, on the sidewalks. The icy conditions have made sidewalks and roads pretty tough to navigate. People slipping and struggling to find clear ground.
Normally when it snows, it doesn't hardly ever get plowed unless my brother-in-law does it. And it's black ice, thick snow, one lane maybe to get down, but it's awful.
There is some good news, though. There are some higher temperatures on the way, so hopefully most of the snow and any ice will melt away. Let's look live into Salisbury now and turn it to our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams for a check on those temperatures. Good evening, Paul.
Well, one thing's for sure, we're still trying to recover from blizzard of 2026, and it was a record-breaking historic storm. Now, for example, we take a look at the historic look of what's happening with Lewis. The biggest storm ever to hit was actually February 5th through the 7th in 2010, where they received 20.6, just over 20 inches, 20 and a half actually. And then we had 18 inches that fell for us in our storm that we dealt with. And the others were in 1969, 79, and 69 again. But that just lets you know we're number 2 on the list of all-time storms. That's pretty historic in and of itself. Now we take a look outside right now. We are currently really quiet. We're starting to see increasing cloud cover. This morning we started off at 26 degrees. So we had concerns about black ice forming, or in other words, a sheen of ice forming on the blacktop or the streets where you can't see it very easily because temperatures dropping below freezing. Well, we're looking at that same concern again for tonight going into tomorrow morning. So we have that same special weather statement that's active for Georgetown, Bryan Store, Seaford, Laurel, Lewis, Long Neck, Frankfort, Ocean View, Fenwick Island, as well as Selbyville with the ice. Now, the winds are still very active. Small craft advisory is active for us, and we're watching out for 25-mile-per-hour winds, really all the way down towards Chincoteague in all areas and throughout the entire coastal region of the Delmarva Peninsula. We had winds today. We measured up to a 28-mile-per-hour wind gust in Ocean City, a 25-mile-per-hour wind gust in Georgetown, and a 30-mile-per-hour wind gust in Cambridge. So the winds are still going to be a bit of a thorn in our side. Now, there is a chance, Christina, of some snow that's going to hit us in the early morning hours. Now, I know we've got PTSD, but it's not something you need to worry about. I'm just going to make you aware of it, how much of it, and why we're going to be more concerned about rain instead of snow.
Okay, got it. Thanks, Paul. Well, downed trees from the storm creating challenges for shelter pets at the Brandywine Valley SPCA's Shingle Point Road location. They lost power during the storm, forcing staff to relocate all animals to the Georgetown campus. But in Georgetown, fallen trees damaged sections of fencing around that facility.
This is our large play yard where we hold play groups for our dogs during the day to give them really the most enrichment. But you can see that we had trees fall down on top of it. So we've got this tree here, another behind us, and a few more across the property that have caused thousands of dollars in damage to our fencing.
The organization says the best way to help would be fostering pets if you can, like this pet you see on your screen. On your screen now is the crossover at Route 1 Hudson Road and Steamboat Landing Road in Milton. DelDOT is closing the crossover there. They have plans to build a new one with a new median and what's called an acceleration lane on southbound Route 1. It is important to note this intersection is where there have been multiple crashes, including a deadly one last year. Here's a closer look, map view of where exactly that road work will take place on Route 1 and Hudson Road. DelDOT says the work is expected to start March 3rd and it should last about 3 weeks. Breeze Airways announced a direct nonstop route to Fort Lauderdale. It will be available beginning July 1st. The new route expands on the airline's current flight option between Salisbury and Orlando. Breeze says flights to Fort Lauderdale will be available on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and the airline says a special promotional price for the route will start at $79 one way through March 2nd. Making national headlines tonight, U.S. tourists are scrambling to return to American soil after days of violence erupted in many states across Mexico. As Sherelle Hubbard reports, the State Department says conditions are finally returning to normal there. That's following the killing of a Mexican drug lord.
The U.S. State Department says the situation in Mexico has, quote, returned to normal. That's after widespread violence gripped parts of the country after the killing Sunday of Mexican cartel boss Nemesio Osegura Cervantes, better known as El Mencho. He was killed in a Mexican military operation aided by U.S. intelligence. As a result, some tourists, including American citizens, have been living under the shelter-in-place orders.
It said code red, shelter in place. And then after that, we started to receive notifications from the airline. It said delay. and then all of a sudden it was canceled. So at that point, we really knew it was something, serious.
Tourist TJ Perry was still stranded in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, Tuesday, despite the State Department lifting shelter-in-place alerts. At the height of the danger, suspected organized crime group members set buses on fire, blocked roads, and clashed with authorities.
It really did look and feel like a war zone, that feeling of what does happen next or what could happen next.
Tuesday, Mexico's president confirming that safety is making a return to her country.
En Puerto Vallarta también.
In Puerto Vallarta, things are also gradually returning to normal. And the most important thing is that our objective, as I said yesterday, is security and peace. And that's what we are working towards.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
We are just getting started tonight. More news coming up ahead. A look at the storm damage across the Northeast tonight. New Jersey, Boston, and more still digging out just like us. But first, Paul Williams is in our Coast TV First Alert Weather Center. He's got your full forecast right after this.
Well, right now we're still staying quiet and clear, but there's actually a little bit of a flurry or two that's going to begin to kind of drift in our direction. Probably it'll manifest right around between 4 and 6 o'clock in the morning. Not expecting any accumulation. I mean, maybe a half an inch or an inch or so. That's if it sticks around long enough, but then it's going to turn over the rain very quickly. As soon as it shows up, it's going to dissipate. Now, what we do have to be concerned with is the freezing on the roads that's going to happen overnight. We've had a lot of melting runoff that's been occurring. So with that being the case, the National Weather Service has issued a new blanket statement for the entire state and even going into other portions of the Delmarva Peninsula dealing with black ice formation, which is basically a freezing over. So that's what the special weather statement is about for Easton, Oxford, Trapp, Bruceville, and Bethlehem. But that's also active for Bryant Park, Seaford, Laurel, Smith Hill, as well as Georgetown, Hollyville, Millsboro, Frankfort, Long Neck, Rehoboth, Lewis, down towards Bethany Beach, and Little Georgetown. So that's one aspect. Another aspect is we have the small craft advisory, bracing for 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts along the beaches. That includes Slaughter Beach, Broadkill Beach, Pine Hook, Lewis, going all the way around towards basically Rehoboth, down to Ocean View, down to Fenwick Island. And that's also inclusive of Ocean City, West Ocean City, Gulf Club Shores, down towards Chincoteague, and on the other side, including the Cambridge area. So it's breezy everywhere. And we're watching out for a chance of rain. Now, remember, the storm we had was the second highest total, for example, in Lewis, where they were hit with 18 inches. The previous highest one, which is still number one, over 20 inches, nearly 20 and a half inches, over 20 and a half inches, actually in 2010. Overnight, we dropped to 35 degrees, just above freezing, but for the wind chill going into the late night hours, we're going to have it in single digits briefly, but then by the time we get into the afternoon, the winds will start pushing pretty steadily out of the southwest. And here's that look at that brief amount of precipitation that's going to be in the form of frozen precipitation will be out of the way by 9 o'clock, and then it will be taken over by light drizzle to rain, actually. And the rain will continue going into the afternoon hours. So we're looking for wet roads, for the most part, for Wednesday and Thursday, for that matter. So we got a chance of rain on Wednesday, on Thursday, and a little itty-bitty chance on Friday. So when we take a look at our expectation along the coast, winds are out of the southwest, very vibrant at 24 to 27 miles per hour. Temperatures approaching the 50-degree mark. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, we're all rain by then, right? We'll see flashes of scattered showers. And then for Thursday, we start off a bit cloudy in the early morning hours. Then we clear out just in time so we can get into the mid to upper 40s once again with scattered cloud cover in place. So for Chincoteague, we'll have rain on Wednesday, Thursday, and then we'll get a little bit of a break on Friday. Assateague, we'll go from 46 to 43. Ocean City, rainy on Wednesday, a bit wet on Thursday, drying out ever so slightly on Friday. And then for Lewis and Rehoboth Beach, 46 to 43 to 41. And we'll go from 48 to 43 to 43, 2 43s in a row with partly cloudy skies. Rain likely for us on Thursday, not so much on Friday. And taking a look down the road, next Monday, we're watching out for another round of snow that could bring about somewhat stormy conditions. We'll keep a close eye on that. So tonight, clearing out in 27. Tomorrow, becoming breezy, wet roads because of the rain at 49. 49 on Thursday, early clouds and downpours likely. And finally, here's a look at your 7-day forecast.
Thank you so much, Paul. And thousands of people in the Northeast remain without power tonight amid freezing temperatures. Tuesday morning, people from that region digging out from the extreme snowfall, including more than 2 feet in several states. Also continuing travel disruptions that includes hundreds of canceled flights. Michael Yoshida reports.
The big dig out started here in Boston following that massive winter storm that hammered the Northeast. Here in South Boston, or south, you can see just these cars buried. All of this snow that's piled up following plows moving through this neighborhood. Here in Boston, they got more than 1.5 feet of snow, but from Boston to Philadelphia, New York, even Providence, some areas getting more than 3 feet of snow. That means a lot of work for these snow plow crews. You can see they've done a good job at least going through the main part of the street, but still a lot of snow piling up. And take a look at this. There's something unique to this area. These space savers. People have come out, they've dug out their cars, they've dug out the space, but to make sure they don't lose this valuable space, we've got a chair, we've got a skateboard marking that territory so someone else can't come in here and grab it. But, you know, it's not just all of this snow that's causing trouble for travel. It's also causing big issues for power across the Northeast. Still some hundreds of thousands of customers in various states being impacted by power outages. Utility companies, elected officials asking for patience, saying yes, they were prepared for this. They staged crews, but it's going to take some time to repair those power lines, repair those power poles. And again, it could be potentially several days for some of those hardest hit areas until the lights come back on. Obviously, a lot of work ahead following this massive winter storm. In Boston, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
We're checking on our Coast TV poll one more time tonight. We're asking, which cleanup job do you dread the most with all this snow? Let's take another look at the results. Still, most people say clearing the driveway or digging out the car. Roof snow, I'll be honest, I'm not exactly sure what we meant by that, on the roof of your car or the roof of your house, but either way, doesn't really sound fun. You can still vote. Go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Let us know what you think. Coming up next tonight, an update on the Nancy Guthrie case, how much money the Guthrie family is now offering for their mother's return. In Delaware, DenRec says the 2026 fee season kicks off March 1st for Delaware State Parks, and it's an extra special year this year. The park's celebrating 75 years. Daily entrance fees range from $5 to $20 depending on residency and location. Officials say an annual pass can pay for itself in about 10 visits. DenRec is also expanding payment options, including mobile pay at select parks, and surf fishing permits are now on sale, with some beaches requiring weekend reservations. Entrance fee remain in effect until November 30th. Meanwhile, the Maryland Park Service is launching a brand new reservation system today. Officials say it will be faster, more mobile friendly, and easier to use, with features like text alerts and a simpler checkout process. New tonight, a heartbreaking video from the daughter of missing 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie says her family is now offering a $1 million reward for information leading to their mother's recovery. This comes as the investigation into her disappearance has yielded no arrests and no leads on Guthrie's whereabouts. Lee Waldman has the latest.
I'm coming on to say it is day 24 since our mom was taken in the dark of night from her bed.
As law enforcement is working on the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, her daughter, Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie, is offering up a reward for her mother's recovery.
We are offering a family reward of up to $1 million.
This is in addition to the FBI's $100,000 reward for information about 84-year-old Guthrie. It's the first we've heard from one of Guthrie's children in more than a week. Amidst the plea, Savannah Guthrie acknowledged for the first time that her mother may no longer be alive.
She may have already gone home to the Lord that she loves.
CNN's chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst John Miller believes this video comes as substantive tips in the case are slowing down.
The family still believes, and investigators concur with this, that there's still someone out there, maybe more than one someone, who actually knows.
Meanwhile, new details have emerged about the masked person seen on doorbell camera footage. The suspect visited her doorstep on 2 different days, not just the morning she is believed to have been kidnapped, a source told CNN. The Pima County Sheriff's Department said in a statement Monday there is no date or time stamp associated with these images, and suggesting the photos were taken on different days is purely speculative. I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
Coming up in sports, with the snow shifting the sports schedule around, how about a look at what you might have missed over the weekend? Get a look at the key plays from Henlopen Championship on Saturday.
And for your Bay forecast, we're looking for 49 degrees and scattered showers in Cambridge. Same holds true for Thursday. Crisfield, 47 and 46. Scattered showers on both days as well.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
Are you one of those people who can feel when a storm is coming? For many, aching joints are the first sign of rain or snow. But the question, is it just a myth? Well, an orthopedic surgeon in Chicago says it's real. It's not in your head.
That's a real phenomenon. It's not in people's heads. But when there is that drop in barometric pressure with temperature changes, you have an increase in pressure in the joint. And you also have an increase in the tension across the soft tissues about the joint. What happens is patients feel stiffness, and that stiffness results in pain. So patients do feel an increase in pain when you do have those changes in temperature that accompany temperature changes.
It's very interesting, and people that tend to be affected by this are those who have arthritis or people that have had injuries or surgeries on their joints in the past. But pristine, normal joints are probably not going to feel any difference when there's a drop in the barometric temperature. This next story is pretty crazy. A North Texas man says a simple notification on his Apple Watch may have saved his life. Bianca Castro shows us what started as a routine fitness tracker alert turned into a shocking diagnosis and a life-saving procedure.
For years, Brad Jackson of Plano has worn his Apple Watch to track his walks and runs. Never did he expect what happened last summer.
I had my watch go off. I looked at it. It said, "You got a pulse of 32. I thought, okay, maybe it's a malfunction. So I waited, and it did it again.
32 beats per minute is considered dangerously low, a condition known as bradycardia.
Did you feel anything, though?
Felt nothing.
You just got the alert on your watch.
Got the alert.
Brad says he didn't give it much thought since his heart rate quickly returned to normal. But here, this chart from his Apple Watch app shows what happened a few weeks later. His normal resting heart rate at 60 beats per minute dropped to the low 30s again, and this time it stayed there.
And I just didn't feel right. I couldn't feel good any hour of the day. And this was an interesting data point. When I would lay down to sleep at night, I could literally feel my heart beating against my chest.
And that's when he says he decided to call his doctor. Within days, doctors implanted a pacemaker to regulate his heartbeat. His experience is part of the reason why industry experts say 2026 will see the biggest shift yet from fitness tracking to medical-grade intelligence. The FDA even giving clearance for more of these types of heart screening capabilities.
Do you feel like you are back to 100%?
Absolutely.
Brad credits his watch for saving his life, but knows that it was ultimately his choice not to ignore the alerts. Brad says he's grateful he connected the dots when he did and believes that small alert made all the difference.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studio.
Good evening, Delmarva. The weather outside turned the sports schedule upside down on the Eastern Shore, but in case you missed the Henlopen Conference Championships this past Saturday, have no fear. Highlights from Saturday are here, and we're starting with the boys. Dover and Seaford, under 2 minutes to go. The Blue Jays trying to make a comeback. Uriah Taylor-Brown is going to help that effort with a corner pocket three to cut it to 5. Later, under a minute to play, Vince Evans III pulls up from 3 to make it a 2-point game. But Dover, they were not trying to lose this game. Kareem King, contested J, won't go. Javion Dennis, oh so reliable for the Senators, gets the putback to make it 61-57, and the Senators would win 63-57, heading into the DIAA playoffs with a 21 record. But on the girls' side, yeah, Cape Henlopen, they had their finger marks all over this one. It was the freshman Ava Brickhouse launching a deep three to try and keep ECHS in this game, but it just wouldn't matter. Cape Henlopen just had too much firepower as Amalia Fruckman takes the feed from Allie Deal to make the and one layup. It's 48-26 here, and then Deal this time from the baseline out of bounds. Cape Henlopen would go on to win 67-35 and secure a Henlopen Conference Championship. That'll do it for sports. Have a great night, everyone.
Along with watching out for the refreezing of the streets, please keep that in mind because of the melted runoff. We also have the small craft advisories that are active for the entire Delmarva Peninsula for all coastal regions. Jean Teschentine of Milton, you're our umbrella winner, courtesy of Paul Davis, property restoration experts. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line. The number to call is 443-880-9100. Your forecast just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstead, Mandalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. 49 on Wednesday and Thursday with rain.
All right, thanks again, Paul, and thanks so much for joining us for Coast TV News at 11 tonight. You can always find more news, more weather. Just download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is up next, and we're back tomorrow at 5 a.m. Have a great night.